Hi, I'm Anita Kapoor, and I am so very happy to be here to lend my support to the work of We the Good. Now, We the Good is a platform that is bringing together crucial fundraising information, and it's all one place. It's a place for you to find out what you need to know. It's a place of resources, and it's also a place for you to decide where to place your voice and where to place your contributions. Now, one of the three main causes that We the Good is supporting is individuals and families at risk. And I'm speaking to Junie Foo. Hi, Junie.
Hi.
It's really, really lovely to have you with us. I'm going to do a quick introduction, and I have notes, Junie, because I took loads of notes, because I got loads of questions to ask you, okay?
Oh, dear.
Junie is the Group Executive Director of Methodist Welfare Services. And Methodist Welfare Services, otherwise known as MWS, administrates family service centers, nursing homes, a welfare home, a girls' residence, student care centers, senior activity centers, home care and home hospice services. And also you have hotlines as well, where people can call into each of these services and to speak to somebody. It's a long list, many, many things that you do, many good things that you do. Thank you so much for speaking to We the Good.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us on this program. I'm really excited about We the Good.
Fantastic. Now, I'm going to get right into it and say,
Okay.
we had a conversation earlier, and you actually shared that a lot of the calls coming in are reports of abuse, and that has actually gone up since the onset of circuit breaker. Could you share with me what the figures are?
So for the period of 30 days from April 7th to May 6th, we had 476 police reports of family violence related police reports. So that's a 22% increase. That's at the Singapore Police Force. So for us, we receive calls through the National Comcare line. There are also calls to our family service centers as well. So we have seen an increase in inquiries, what to do. My spouse has lashed out at me. What should I be doing?
Okay, that's a significant increase, actually. Earlier on, I was looking at some figures also. I think UN Women has released that domestic violence is up 33% in Singapore. And, they haven't given us all the figures, but that also feels like a really significant number.
Yes.
What's happening?
What's happening? We've had, well, I can speak about general cases that we have seen. So some of them, it's just a small confined, cabin fever. And if you have a lot of people staying in a 1 or 2 room, 2-bedroom HDB flat, there is no more personal space. And it does build up.
I think it could happen to anybody at any given time.
Exactly.
Confined space. But what I really want to actually give a bit of life to is, what is an individual or a family at risk? I mean, I want to know, how does it happen and how do we recognize it? Because it can happen to anybody.
Yes, exactly. So some of us have pre-existing conditions. So it could be mental health, financial distress contributes quite a bit. In fact, over the circuit breaker period, we have noted that about 45% of the were financially related. They've been retrenched and they're seeking financial help from us. And we've also, out of the 44% of cases received for family abuse, we've got child abuse, we've got spousal abuse, we've got elder abuse. Elder abuse is a little bit less than 10%. And the rest are about half each, spousal abuse and child abuse.
Yeah.
It's quite startling.
It is very startling.
Yes.
When I think finances and livelihoods are stretched, if there is a pre-existing mental health condition, or a mental health condition could then maybe come up as a result of feeling stretched and strained. Yes. There's such a variety of different things going on, and I think it's not so much that we can even confirm who has the skills or who hasn't the skills, because this could be a moment where you discover that you do not have the skills to manage the stress,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think we also talked about that, people can also fall into these patterns when they are dependents or they have dependence upon them. And also there are situations in which people are either at risk for suicide or threatening that. So it's either encountered or threatened, in addition to verbal and physical violence. So it's a really big mixture of very highly emotional and highly provocative things.
Yes. And in fact, a lot of them already have issues. So they had challenges relating to one another in a safe manner already before the circuit breaker. Yeah, so it gets exacerbated. The whole situation makes it even worse.
It rises. What actually it rises to the surface, isn't it?
Yes.
I want to also speak about persons who abuse. So you have survivors and you have persons who abuse. Isn't a person who abuses also an at-risk person?
Yes, definitely. I don't want to say that they are victims, but actually they, if you look at it, if they aren't able to seek help, then they won't be able to help themselves get out of that situation. Some of them are aware. Some of them, of course, they're not cognizant of what they're doing.
Why should individuals, but before I do, I want to ask you, why should individuals reach out and how should they reach out? So let's talk about why should we reach out? Because you bringing up that video is really poignant at this point. When I first saw the video, I thought, oh, this is a real softly approach. But then I realized that in situations like this, that's exactly the approach that is needed, is to make an inquiry. It's to kind of find a way to stop what's happening, because a lot of this is heightened, big emotions, and a lot of lack of control. So if you could address why should individuals reach out?
Well, then who's going to help them if nobody reaches out to them? But then I also understand that there is always this thing about, why are you such a busybody? Don't be a busybody, shh, keep quiet, but increasingly, I think more people are stepping up to really show that they care. I think it's important. Yeah.
When you receive calls to the various centers, and when you receive calls for help, would you be able to give me an idea of how many are those who are survivors, victims, and how many of those are people who are calling on behalf of an issue or a problem?
Wow, that's a good one. I think those with pre-existing situations, they are familiar with the professionals, our social workers. So they would be calling because they know, okay, I'm not safe. So they will call for help. I don't think there are as many neighbors who are calling us, unfortunately. Yes. We haven't been able to really pinpoint, like, I'm an anonymous caller, there's somebody, next door who's crying, or I hear tables being banged and stuff. Not in some of my centers, not at the moment, but perhaps at the National Care Line.
Yeah, I've been one of those people who's actually just called the police.
Oh, well done, you.
Only because it's quite distressing to hear that somebody else, and you want to actually, I'm the kind of person who would barge in actually and knock on the door, but you want to make sure that an official something transpires. That, that in a way that at least people who are in distressing situations or cause distressing situations realize that something is out of control here. It's not to shame someone. And on the matter of shame, actually, how can someone who is in an at-risk situation reach out? Because there is shame, I think, both as a survivor and both as a person who may be causing abuse as well.
Yeah, I know it actually takes a lot from that person to recognize that they are at risk, because a lot of them are in perhaps violent relationships and they do not know what to do and they can't leave the relationship. it's the how is over a period of time, and it's really through counseling and conviction on the person's part. That's it. That's the last straw. Because many times when you leave a violent relationship, you come back to it. There's this it's almost an addiction, for want of a better word. And we have journeyed with some people, and it's painful. I cannot make it any simpler.
Yeah, it's absolutely a source of pain. And I think also if there's a child involved, children are helpless, and they might be in a situation where there's only one other adult in the house, and that could be the person actually causing them the distress and the abuse. So I want to ask you, we touched on it just lightly only earlier. If I am a person and I hear something or I see something, what do I do as a concerned fellow human being?
Well, you can do what you've done, call the police, or we've got the National Care Hotline, which I can share the numbers later, as well as a few very specialized social service agencies that look at child protection, look at family violence. So they are specialized centers that one can seek help at. Yes.
Do you get calls directly to all the centers that you run?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, but not all of them are violence related. Yeah.
Sure. So the easiest way in that sense, and the number that should be at top of mind, would be the National Care Hotline?
Yes.
Okay. And I think we're going to flash that information, and we're going to put it somewhere so everybody would know exactly how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What happens though, and I'll just throw a spoke in the wheel there. What happens though if you can't make a phone call?
Aha. So yes. So it has made it more difficult because of the circuit breaker for our social workers to meet them face to face. Yes, because of the COVID concerns. So that's the challenging part, that they cannot reach us. I have a better solution than maybe for us to proactively seek them out, which at the moment is really not quite possible.
Yeah.
So we do have to rely on our fellow neighbors to really keep a lookout and to be alert.
Absolutely. This is community. This is not
Yes, the community.
And I think that we need to bring that back into our hearts and into our spirits. And, during COVID-19 and after COVID-19, we haven't to forget that we actually are and need to be there for one another.
Yes. So I really hope that after COVID, after the circuit breaker, it's not the end, but really it's the beginning of this whole community coming together and watching out for each other. We shouldn't just stop at the circuit breaker. No. Yeah, this is really my hope.
I've heard from a number of people that, who are friends or just in casual conversations, people have been, observing the stay-home measures, and they have actually experienced or heard things. And what I gather from it is a lot of people it's not just about don't be a busybody, don't be a capo, but people are actually fearful or ashamed or a little bit indifferent. How do we switch that? How do we flip that to understanding what should be driving us?
A lot of people feel empathy, and they go, oh, what, so poor thing and everything, right? But really, kindness is an action. And so if we can be anything in this world, let's be kind. And so that is really kindness in action, and extending it doesn't take anything for us to call the police, to alert someone, to knock on the door and say, hey, what's happening?
Yes.
So it's that first step. And I think we probably, as a society, I'm sad to say that we're not all quite there yet, because very instinctively it will be, don't be a busybody. Yes.
I wonder if it's also there's a part of us that actually fears what we're going to discover, and I think that if there was a bit more education on the reasons why things happen rather than only the end result of what happens, but there's a reason why a person has, whether it's right or wrong, we're not here to judge, but there's a reason why this has actually happened. And we need to find ways in which to empower ourselves to break the dynamic for the person who can't break the dynamic for themselves.
Yes, yes. Sometimes they just need that break.
Absolutely.
To just break that chain.
Absolutely.
And really, it's not something that only happens to the lower income group, right? We have to let everybody know that it happens to anyone. Whatever income bracket that you are in, there is a possibility of you experiencing spousal abuse, child abuse, elder abuse. Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to take it back to the fact that stress, strife, anxiety, grief, financial worries are not just to be fobbed onto lower income citizens. It doesn't necessarily automatically mean that if you're not earning very well, that you actually have a life that is so miserable. These two things do not come together necessarily. I think
Yes.
you could have a lot of money and also be...
And you are miserable.
experiencing the extremes of emotions and the extremes of loss of self-control. So I think we have to be really, really certain and spread that message that it could happen to anybody. And what our duty and our job is as human beings is to listen and to want to get involved and to go from not just sympathizing, but to empathizing. And then that leads us to the kindness. Because even a little bit of kindness, right? You said kindness in action. Even the tiniest bit of kindness changes.
Yes.
Yeah. Junie, would you give me an example of a case that you've worked on?
My social workers, but the thing is, we had to get consent from them. And so I couldn't get consent from them. So I don't have a specific case. So what I've shared really has been a general number of cases that I cited just now about spousal abuse or child abuse. I won't be able to give really specific, okay, this happened to this family. But those were the cases that we have seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's important also for us to not turn cases into case studies for the public, because they are all so very different and actually quite complicated and so many different kinds of layers as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you turned away from a career, or perhaps it was a natural a natural progression for you. You went from banking to social service. How did that happen?
How did that happen? Well, I wanted to do something more socially impactful. So I decided to just do it. And here I am. So I've left a 28-year career in banking. I'm in my second year in the social service sector, and it's been really good. I found a lot of joy. I remember my grandfather telling me that it's a joy to help people, and I really see it. It's been really good. It's been humbling as well, because I never really saw a certain part of Singapore, and my Singapore is really quite different when I was in banking. The functions and the entertaining of customers, and always in the financial district. So it's been really eye-opening, and I see a different side of Singapore. And
I think Singapore has many, many different parts.
Yeah.
And I think it's also part of our journey as citizens and as concerned citizens to know all of those parts. And sometimes you can do that through social services, and sometimes you can do that just by walking around and being more aware of what's going on around you.
Absolutely.
There are folk who are watching us right now who could either be survivors, victims, or they could be persons who abuse. What is the one thing that you want to tell them?
That you're not alone. I think that's important, because many times you feel that, it's only me and I'm the one experiencing it, but you're not alone, and there are people ready to help you So ask for help. Yeah, we need to give voice to them. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Junie, for talking to us, and thank you for giving voice to what you do. And whoever's watching this, I hope that you can see the information that's in front of you, that you can see a number that you can call, and that you can know that whether you are a victim, survivor, or whether you are a person who actually abuses also or has violence within you and meets it out into your family, into your elders, that there's help for everybody, and you just need to step forward into healing. Thank you very much for being with us, Junie.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Pleasure.